Hey everyone, Gil here at Camppatton Family Compound and Uncle Al at Die Bullfrog 79. We're hoping to have some others come in here. The one person I would really like to come in here, I don't think he's going to be. He's still dealing with his newborn, and that's Anthony Pimento Prepared, because he deals with a lot of the topics tonight here we'll be talking about. Really good stuff coming up here tonight. So everyone, get your notebooks out and a pencil and get ready to start taking notes, because we're going to have some really good information for you. And not necessarily just for emergencies or disasters or whatever. This is some good stuff about food that you really should be having in your toolkit as it is. All right, so let's start off with everybody's in here. Do a little roll call. We have Bottom Dollar Outdoors, a really great channel. Courtney at Wide Family Farm. Jehodak Maccabeus at Maccabeus Off-Grid and Everyday Survival. We have Jay in here. Michael 58. Cecilia Jansen. Rebecca Nichols. Drops Family Garden. WD Glock and Roll. Josh Connor. Hey, Josh. Rustic Traditions Homestead. And Marie's Vegetable Garden. So far, that's what we got in here. And guys, what brought this about was partly I was listening to some of Uncle Al's videos on 30-day food storage and 7-day food storage, all the stuff, talking about the stuff and everything. And one of the things that stood out to me was thinking back to when I was a kid. Like, wait a minute, what happened to all this other stuff we used to eat all the time that was really good? And it's like goes away in favor of high fructose corn syrup cereals, which, by the way, and we got Papa Truck Prepstetter just came in. Speaking of high fructose corn syrup, I'm going to reference from doomandbloom.net, Doc Bones and Nurse Amy. Nurse Amy is convinced that high fructose corn syrup has a relationship towards autism, because when the big push of putting high fructose corn syrup in everything is when there was a big spike in autism. Not saying it's true, but hey, a lot of people in the medical community are leaning that way. They just haven't had a study to prove it yet. So now I got that little rant out of the way. All right, let's get on with what we got here. All right, so basically old-fashioned grains and cereals that are easy to use and store. This is what we're going to be talking about here. And it might be a little noise on my side. I got the AC is blowing from downstairs. I'm not sure how loud it is. Okay, so okay, I don't know why it's going too fast. It's not supposed to be going fast. It's only supposed to be some things showing. All right, so what are your choices you have? Well, for hot cereal, let's take a look at some hot cereal choices out there. Everybody's favorite old-fashioned Quaker Oats. Been around for decades and decades. All right. Well, what do they do with old-fashioned Quaker Oats? It takes a long time to cook. Hey, we have healthy homestead chicken here, enriched refuge, and Teresa and Lee from Stringfield Ridge Farm. They were just on prior to us, for the hour prior to us. So if you're not doing anything prior to this stream, check them out. All right. All right, so what you got here? So now they went and changed it from old-fashioned to quick oatmeals now to instant oatmeal. Whole bunch of nice flavors. These seem to be some of the popular ones. What's neat about this stuff here, it's easy to fix. This is the type of stuff you put into your go bags and stuff to go with that little camp stove that you can heat up and eat real easy. Now, before I go any further, I couldn't find a video clip for this. How many of you remember the old movie with Robert Redford and Jane Fonda, the Electric Horseman. And during the press conference, she's the reporter, and she's trying to dig at him. And he's the retired rodeo star who's hawking ranch breakfast cereal, like cornflake type cereal type thing. And she asked him, "Do you eat this? Do you really eat this cereal for breakfast?" And he pauses and looks at her. And he goes, "Nope, I eat steak and eggs for breakfast." And she goes, "Aha!" And he goes, "I eat it for dinner." So you don't have to eat, quote, traditional breakfast cereals for breakfast. You can eat it at lunch. You can eat it at dinner. Because it's, hey, what were breakfast cereals originally? Think back to Robin Hood days, porridge and mush. That's what they had for dinner. All right.
And also, guys, when it's porridge and mush, it doesn't need to be milk or water. And mush in the old days, I mean, we're talking biblical, it was sheep's blood. Bleh.
Yeah. So there's, some of the stuff, there's different ways you can cook it too. And we'll get into some of them here later on here that are specifically because they can be eaten multiple ways. All right. So let me go down here. So, all right. Malto meal. How many of you out there remember having malto meal? There's Josh Connor talked about malto meal. Yes. All right. And they now have, I remember original malto meal. And when they first came out with chocolate, tried it once, couldn't stand it. I haven't tried the brown sugar maple, the maple and brown sugar one yet.
Now, remember, folks, malto meal is a wheat-based product.
Yeah.
And this is the second wheat-based product. This goes back to biblical times, to the Romans and Egyptians. Couscous. It's also a wheat-based product. You could eat it anytime you want. But during the Roman period, they add figs, honey, and dates. And when you went to battle, that's all you got to eat.
Yep. All right. So what do we have after malto meal here? Cream of wheat. What I grew up on. And what I grew up on, we didn't have the instant. We didn't have the 1 minute. We didn't have the 2.5 minute. We had the 10-minute, and when I was still a kid, they came out with a 5-minute, which they no longer make. So, so cream of wheat was something. Now, just for I don't know how to call this. This is a pet peeve. My mom would do up the cream of wheat and put it in a ceramic bowl. What happens when the cream of wheat hits a ceramic bowl? It clumps. And then pour milk on it, it clumps more. I discovered a way to stop it from clumping. You put a tablespoon of honey in with it and mix it up. It won't clump. All right. So, yeah, there's a whole bunch of flavors of cream of wheat. They even have it in a little office thing, toss it in the microwave. Cream of rice. My mom used to serve this to any of us when we were sick. So if you have a gluten allergy, cream of rice. Yep.
Now, cream of rice is pearled rice that's been puffed and recooked. So a lot of you can add water, cook it, boil it. I can't remember how you cook cream of rice.
Okay, I got a question here. Why clump in ceramic? Well, usually ceramic bowls are cool or colder. So when the cream of wheat or cream of rice hit that ceramic bowl, it cooled down and it clumped.
Oh, yeah.
And you pour cold milk on it, it clumps even more.
Then you get a little mass like that.
Yeah. Okay, and something else you can get is there's brown rice hot cereal. And you're going to see Bob's Red Mill in here, a lot of stuff, because they carry a lot of the old school grains and stuff. And so I was able to get a lot of pictures from them.
Now, on before we go to this one, the previous one on brown rice hot cereal, if you look closely at the rice, it's hulless, and look at the size of the rice in there. This is regular rice, and then you take a look at that one. That's been modified in processing. So you might not get all the benefits like the vitamin B ones through B6s. So you have to be careful with that too, folks.
Yeah. Okay. Porridge, as well as both sweetened and savory toppings. Okay. Yeah. So he has some information on it. Now, my dad, old school cowboy, sometimes his favorite thing was take regular white rice, cook it up, put it in a bowl, sprinkle cinnamon on it, maybe a little bit of brown sugar, and then pour some milk on it. And he'd have that sometimes for breakfast. Sometimes he'd have that for dessert after dinner. So, rice is something that can be used a lot of ways. But it's, so okay. Grits. Hey guys, they make grits. Now, check out the flavors here. You have original, you have butter, you have cheddar cheese, and you have country bacon. So, bottom dollar, good point. Let me throw that up. Oh, wait, let me get up to the right one. There we go. Grits are 100% gluten-free also. Hey, Butch, Sand Hollow Homestead is in here.
Hi, Butch. Before we go on, does anybody know where grits come from? And the easy answer is corn, but what kind of corn, folks?
Not sure. Let's see. Let me scroll back up here.
We talked about this. It's hominy. Grits come from hominy.
Yeah. I was just checking comments, see if anybody had mentioned anything about it. Stringfield Ridge says grits are good, but they prefer oats. And Michael 58 had it, hominy. Okay, so let's see what comes after grits here. Hey, does anybody remember having barley cereal? Yeah, Uncle Al has the quick barley, which is this one here. Cooks in 10 minutes. But barley cereal has been around for, it was old school back Revolutionary War times and England and stuff. The thing is, you can eat it as a cereal. Barley soup, yeah, Michelle, that's exactly what I was going to say. You can add it to make soups, barley soups and stuff, which you can eat for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Remember, guys, the stuff we're talking about here isn't, don't get locked into the mindset of the commercialism of the food empire of, oh, this is a breakfast food only. No. All this stuff can be eaten anytime. All righty. Let's see here. Okay, drops fine. Okay, let me put this up here. Barley was easier to grow in a colder climate than wheat. And yes, bottom dollar's right. He gets his in a carbonated form. Pop that beer top.
Yep, liquid bread.
So, so after barley, buckwheat. Now, buckwheat is actually, in my mind, I could be wrong, folks. Mostly, I consider buckwheat flour being used in like pancakes and stuff like that. But you can heat it up, cook it up. Here they're throwing some butter on it and just eating it like that.
Now in Russia they call it kasha, and they usually boil buckwheat like that. And if you have a tin of really oily Russian meat, you throw it into the buckwheat and you cook it up like the meaty porridge. Trust me, if you ate one of those cans, you know why they put it into the buckwheat. Mm-hmm. It's like 90% fat and that much meat.
Hey, Steve at Corsair's Trainer is in the house.
Hey, Steve.
And Howie at Food Forest Permaculture has rolled in.
Hi, Howie.
All right.
And don't forget. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, you go ahead.
Don't forget, Corsair Trainer did a really good 10-minute video uh, what is SHTF. Please check it out. Get some good knowledge in your head. Okay, Gil, go for it.
All right. So, like I mentioned here, that buckwheat is, I mainly hear about it being used as a flour. All of these grains we've mentioned so far, guess what? They make flour out of them for breads and other stuff. So you don't have to do it this way. You can, if you have a wheat grinder or whatever, you can run all these grains through it, and you can make breads and everything else on it. Okay.
Same goes for wheat, rice too.
Yep. Wheat, rice, everything. Corn. Here's corn mush. Done up sort of like, cream of wheat or cream of rice. I would almost call this cream of corn, but people confuse of creamed corn, side dish. But they throw it up to grind it up and cook it up. Now, cold cereals, stuff you don't have to heat up. Kathy's in the house. North Star Prepstetter and Martha at Old School Preppers in the house. All right, so does anybody know what this is? Ding, 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 ding. Anybody guessing? Give it a couple seconds here. Nope, not grape nuts, but Jehodak, that's coming up. All right, this is for these that anybody hasn't guessed yet, and maybe it takes a second for it to scroll up here. Nope, not barley. This is puff wheat. And Sugar Smacks. All right, there we go. So bottom dollar said Sugar Smacks. So yeah, basically you got either Sugar Smacks, Honey Smacks, because sugar's bad for you. So we're gonna make honey smack and put out all these fructose corn chip cereals. Sorry, I'm on a little rant there on that. Or corn, Golden Crisp if it's post. But yeah, it's your puff wheat. Now, for a cold cereal, this is one of the cold cereals that does not need any liquid with it. My grandsons, I put a bowl of this out there. They're in hog heaven. I mean, all of them are out there just going at it. Heck, I put it out there. My boys go at it. Heck, I go at it.
Another favorite is also Kix, the little corn puff things.
Yeah. And Cheerios.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cold cereals. Some of them are really healthy for you. So, there's very little, sugars and stuff in Cheerios or Kix. So, and that's one of the things. You've heard about people doing trail mixes and stuff. Some of my scouts would just take baggies of this stuff out on the hikes, and actually that's very smart because it has sugar in it or honey in it, which gives them the energy, the energy and the carbs and the wheat and everything. So that gives them go power for the hike. And of course, Maltomeal got into it and made golden puffs. Puffed corn. Yes, there's puffed corn. 100% whole grain, single ingredient, no sugar added. And then we have the original flakes, corn flakes. Now, along with corn flakes, for corn flakes, my grandsons won't touch it. Now, if I put out Kellogg's Frosted Flakes, they go after that, dry. Yeah. But then there's cashew, the flakes and stuff. Now, what's interesting, these last two, so you got corn flakes, cashew flakes. Well, hey guys, you can make your own flake cereal. There are several videos out there on YouTube that talk about how you can make corn flakes, how you can make cashew flakes, how you can make other type of flake cereals, rice flake cereals and stuff like that. So you can make your own type cereals. There's instructions out there how to do it. Milo, everybody's heard about Milo, one of the grains. Hey, and this, you can tell these are the different languages it's sold in. Now I threw this one in here because even though this is not a natural occurring grain. It's multiple things put together and cooked up and stuff. This is one of those ones that my grandsons and even my boys would, you put a bowl of it out there dry. It's like putting out Chex Mix out there. They just go after it. So now, hot or cold? These are, now some of these, before might, you might serve them hot, might serve them cold. But reason I put this subject in here, you're gonna love this one, Jehoiadak. Grape nuts. Grape nuts, even on the box, tells you can serve it hot or cold. All right, you can add some hot water to it and then warm milk on top, just a little bit to soften it up and put warm milk on it and have it warm. Or you can just add cold milk to it and you have the nice cruddy, nutty texture that Yule Gibbons so proudly pitched back before he died of natural causes.
Okay, folks, because I did a whole paper on the breakfast food cereal wars. Post copied this formula from Kellogg, and he grew up with canned milk and graham crackers, so he put in graham in the grape nuts. Originally, before this, it was pretty disgusting. Nobody would eat it, even with fruit on it. But when he added graham to it, it changes everything. But they can't use graham nuts. It doesn't sound right. So what did they think? Grape nuts. That sounds great.
Yeah, sounds like grape seeds being ground up.
Yep.
But basically, this is a bread that has been cooked until it's all, there's all crust basically all the way through, and they grind it up.
Yep.
So, this is another cereal you can make at home. All right, puffed rice, hot milk on it, different way, throw it in the microwave, one that can use hot or cold. Rice Krispies treat is a generic name, a specific brand name like Kleenex. So, and then you have rice cake cereal. Those little rice cakes. Yeah, you crumble them up, put them in a bowl, put milk in there, toss it in the microwave, or not. Steve, go back to the sugar stuff.
Steve, if you knew what kind of cereals I've been researching, you'd be going back to the sugar stuff too.
All right, so what do we got coming up here? All right, bulk storage. Now, if most of the stuff we've been talking about, you find a lot of the stuff in other than like the cream of wheat, the cream of rice, but the puffed rice, the puffed corn, the puffed wheat, the puffed, you find those in big bags. And if you buy that and you want to store it a long time, hey, what does Mountain House and Thrive and the other canning companies do for their long-term food storage? They put nitrogen in the can to displace the oxygen, and then they throw in a moisture absorber.
And remember, folks, it's a heavy gas. It don't whiffle off like helium. It's a very heavy gas. So make sure you do it on a cold day, not right now where I live. It's 106. You want to see a wasted can of nitrogen? Do it on these days.
Yeah, but you can get nitrogen and you just give it a little squirt in the bottom of it. Get a little hose, stick it down the bottom, give it a little squirt. It'll fill up and it'll displace a lot of the oxygen. All right, so that's the storage part. Okay, other foods. Okay, now we got the rice cakes again, and all sorts of flavors now, guys. They got it cheddar, lightly salted, chocolate, caramel, butter popcorn, apple cinnamon, salt-free, and tomato basil. That one actually sounds good. And I'm going to take a squirrel detour here. I already talked about all of this earlier. The buttered popcorn reminded me. Popcorn was originally a breakfast cereal. You'd pop the corn, pour milk on it, sprinkle a little bit of sugar on it, or drizzle some honey on it, and that was your breakfast cereal. Hey, my, how things have changed. let's see. Darlene McGee was 108. Old Ohio right now is, 100 hours she is right now. And she's over closer towards Boise. So she's over closer to the western side of Idaho. Yeah. Yeah. Stringfield, my grandmother told me about the popcorn. And then I looked it up and I found other sources. Yeah. Because when she was born in 1899, and on the farm up Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, that's what they had for breakfast. You know, they'd get, once they had the corn, they'd pop corn and have it for breakfast.
Also, it's kind of nice.
She's over by 15 miles from Mountain Home Air Base.
Also, it's kind of nice because back in those days, popcorn was a rare treat, and if you had it for breakfast with honey and milk and a little drizzled butter, it was the bee's knees, as they say.
Yep. So, for bread and milk, we're going to talk on that in a little bit here near the end, and not just about bread, but some other stuff as well. It works on that. Hey, Ryan the Gamer is in the house. All right, so the next one down. Now, who can guess what these are? And I'll give you a hint. It is not a rice cake. And I bet most people will not be able to guess what these are. It's not a rice cake.
I already know it, so.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is one that surprised me. I hadn't heard of them before until I caught a picture of it. I thought it wasn't. I saw what the label of it was, and I looked it up. Ah, Michael got it. Corn cakes. This is like a little puffed corn that's been not popped, but puffed, and then like with the corn or the rice cakes, compressed. So, yeah. So that's one of the other ones here. So you can do the same thing with that. You can break it up, pour milk on it, sprinkle a little sugar or honey on it. All right. Parched corn. This is another way you can cook corn. And I would say generally it was more of an evening meal, but hey, you can still have it for breakfast or lunch. Yeah. Put it in there, cook it up, brown it up. You know. Another way,
also do hominy to it too.
Yeah. Another way of taking your grains and making a meal out of it without having to add a whole bunch of sugar or fructose corn syrup or anything else to it.
Or you could eat it dry, like Gil said before, because this was a marching ration. And generally would get a bag of this instead of breakfast, will swig down coffee or chicory root coffee and eat this.
Yeah. And if you were an officer in the Army, you got your tea with it. Okay. Speaking of coffee and tea, hey, how many of you heard of Postum? I think everybody's heard of Postum. You know, now it says natural coffee flavor, but what really is it? It is roasted wheat bran and molasses. When I was growing up, this is what my dad used to drink every morning. Look at the side. Michael mentioned something, or that's jumping. There we go. Boiled peanuts. I haven't heard about that, but hey.
It's a southern thing. You got to ask either Anthony or me about it. That one is kind of tricky. It's more of a snack, boiled peanuts, or whatchamacallit. It's more of a dessert.
Yeah. Okay, let me get up there. Okay. Why does everything have wheat in it? Because wheat turned out to grow very well here in the United States, a lot better than it did over in Europe. But I would bet that you could probably take rice or something else or some of these other grains and do the same thing, roast it, and roast the bran off the other grains, and come up with a similar, type hot breakfast drink.
Right. They do it in Japan for rice,
Yeah.
but nobody drinks it. They drink postum. Tastes better.
Yeah. No bottom dollar. I've never heard of boiled peanuts. So yes, I know I'm not. I know it's a southeastern U.S. thing, but I've never heard on it. Okay. Yeah. McAfee grew up on boiled peanuts in South Carolina. Oh, Jay hit a question here. No mention of rye. What's the next one we have? What have we missed here? Okay. We talked about oats. We talked about wheat. We talked about rice. We talked about buckwheat. Milo. We didn't actually talk about sorghum, but sorghum and Milo. And we got triticale coming up here, and we got rye coming up here. And here's the triticale. All right, and this is a look it up. It's basically it's a cross. It's like a mule. You crossbreed a horse and a donkey, you get a mule. You crossbreed different types of grains, and you get this. And puffed millet, yeah, puffed millet and sorghum are very close. They're almost like identical cousins. Patty Duke, identical cousins. And so there you can look up how to cook sorghum. That's what this picture was. So how to cook it on the stovetop. And like I mentioned before, buckwheat flour is where I heard about buckwheat a lot. But everything we've mentioned on here, all the grains can be made into a flour. So you don't have to have wheat flour. You can have all these other type flours. And then buckwheat has it come. You got a boil-in bag where you just boil it up and then you can serve it. Okay, so all natural, Old Wessex Limited all natural cereals, 5 grain. The grains are oats, rye, triticale, barley, and golden flax. Now, this is the only place where I've seen rye and golden flax mentioned when I was doing my searches this last week, used in a cereal. There's probably some others out there, but for some reason, Google didn't bring it up. And I spent several days Googling around looking for it here in the evening.
Okay, guys, on golden flax, they had a trouble with it in the past. That's why it's not a popular grain. Rye, if anybody studied the Salem witch trials, it's escot. It's a type of hallucination you get when you eat spoiled rye grains and you start seeing things. We cracked a joke between me and Gil about that.
I'm going to do it. We figured out what happened to the Democratic Party. They served spoiled rye at their conventions, and they all went. They haven't recovered from it yet.
It's like a bad LSD poisoning.
Yeah, it keeps coming around. All right. What do I have coming up here next? Let's see. We're just about to the end of what I have up here. I need to go back and look something up. So you got rye is usually used in breads. But hey, if you have the bread, you can have for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And you can, the breads and stuff, if they've been starting to dry out and stuff, especially, let's go here to cornbread. You make cornmeal, make cornbread. The next day, cornbread likes to dry out. Hey, you take it, you cube it up, cut it up, put it in a bowl, pour some more milk on it. It's a breakfast, or it's a lunch, or it's a dinner. And you can just take the dry bread and stuff. That's what they used to use as what they called sop. And they had their stew and stuff, and they're cleaning up the soupy stews. They'd sop the bread in it, and it'd suck all the liquid out of it. So the stews would be thicker and be more easier to eat it.
You grab every drop. Now, another thing about old bread, in England, most of the pudding is not like pudding we have in the 20th century. Pudding in the old days was old bread. Doesn't matter what kind of bread. It could be wheat, it could be flour, it could be pea, but you made a pudding out of it, and you eat pudding for breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Okay.
And you wanted the one for breakfast because that was the best one. Breakfast pudding was full of what? Rum and molasses, nuts, anything dried food you could think of. It was great. You get drunk off of that pudding. You could also set it on fire too.
All right. So I'm throwing something up here that Jehodak Maccabeus put in there. And he gets it from the Amish. And so it's and guess what? Hey, Bob's Red Mill has it as well.
Yeah.
So there you go. And if I go back up here, using bread, sourdoughs, flour. She talks about making pasta from this. So, and sprouts. And that's the thing. Some of these grains and stuff, you'd have to check into it more. All right, guys. I don't want someone getting sick because of me. But people eat a lot of grain sprouts. I've heard that a couple of them you don't want to eat the grain sprouts, but so check to see if of these different grains that you want to try, if the sprouts are okay for human consumption. So, yeah. So there's do they have anything with cereal on it? Oh, there's some making bread out of it.
Yeah, and then one
flour.
down below.
Someone else's flour, Arrow Mills flour. So yeah, there's a lot of things, and a lot of these you can make crackers or flatbreads out of a lot of the stuff. And some
below the crackers, I think that's either grain or cereal. I can't tell.
Over here, this is
flour.
Flour. Yeah, but so like the flatbreads and crackers and stuff. You season them up. Anthony would be the great one in here to have. Talked about putting all the basils, all the different stuff he puts on his breads and stuff and everything else like that. But yeah, you can make these crackers and stuff here out of a lot of not just this spelt or some of the other ones. You can make mix. You can make your own mix of grains, whatever works for you. Hey, getting started on homesteading. Hey, how's it going?
And let's see, what was the next one, Gil?
That was the last on the slideshow. That was. Let me put this back over here off to the side. Come on, get in there. Doesn't want to get in. There it goes. All right, I had to put it back in my thing over here. All right, so after corn, yeah, that was it. That was it for the slideshow.
Okay.
So just run it back up. So we talked about cornmeal, rye bread, multiple grains, buckwheat, puffed millet, puffed sorghum. Sorghum and millet are identical cousins.
Also, Aramis.
Aramis. Pigweed.
Yeah, pigweed falls between milo and sorghum. Same family, drives you nuts. That's what Hubble's cat always talks about. You can eat the greens when it's young, and also the seed pod. You could get the seed type from Baker's Seed. Makes a really good. It's an easy plant to grow. Processing will drive you nuts. Look at Hubble's cat.
Yeah. So there's a lot of grain cereals out there, and like I said at the beginning, you don't have actually a lot of these cereals and stuff weren't for breakfast when they were back 100 years ago. They were for dinner. Porridge and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different. Okay, so we're back up here at the beginning. So let me go and pull that off. There we go.
Now, what's kind of funny, folks, is oatmeal and porridge. Let me see if I got oatmeal. The Royal Navy used to make. This is going to sound funny. They had oatmeal. And they had rolled barley, not quick barley, rolled barley, the old school one. And what they would use for sailor's main meal for the evening, this is going to sound so funny, was make boogaloo. That was the original term for it, because you had oats and barley into a hot mush. covered either with beef juice, molasses, and rum. That's what's the original term for boogaloo. It's not Civil War thing. It was eating that stuff for dinner, and about an hour later, you boogaloo to the port or the poop deck, as they would say it in English.
All right. So I'm going to go back here to Josh Connor's thing. So it's fried steak and eggs. Okay. Josh, I don't know if you caught it. I know some people came in later. Back when I was talking about how the commercial industry of cereals, trying to make it, all these cereals are breakfast cereals. Well, if you remember the movie with Robert Redford and Jane Fonda called The Electric Horseman, he was a retired rodeo star that was now hawking this cereal called Ranch Breakfast, and she was a reporter, and she nailed him in a press conference saying, "Well, tell us honestly, do you really eat Ranch Breakfast for breakfast?" And Robert Redford goes, "No, I eat steak and eggs for breakfast. I eat Ranch Breakfast for dinner." So basically, all the stuff we covered, all the different cereals and grains and stuff here that you can cook up, you don't have to eat them for breakfast. You can eat them for dinner. You can add all sorts of stuff to them. Some of these the mushes and stuff you make, chop up some ham steak or some beef steak or something, meats into it. Give us the added flavor. Remember, like the one of the grits with flavors was country bacon. Hey, bacon makes everything taste better.
Hi, Kaylin Strange. Kaylin just joined the board.
Hey, Kaylin.
And Morris Patch, I think.
I think I saw Morris Patch of Heaven's in here too.
Okay. Now, folks, other forms of grains like rice in Southeast Asia and Northern Asia, they make a gruel out of it, which is a type of porridge. It's called congee. Yeah. And that was used for breakfast or dinner. It's more soupy than regular porridge. Trust me on that one. But you added like a hard-boiled egg, fried meat, parboiled vegetables on top of it.
That's what Drop's family saying. Puts bacon, eggs, and cheese on her grits.
Oh, that gives
and fishes and loaves, dried fruits and nuts on the cereals. Now, when I mentioned sorghum, try to get so this is sorghum, and I was going to try to plant this year, but the East Field had so much morning glory and star thistle coming up on it that I'm just going around, every 2 weeks and disking. Anything that starts growing up, I disc it under. It's the morning glory and star thistles coming up so much. I'm just slowly right now being able to knock it down. So next year I'm going to try to plant early in the spring, plant the sorghum, and see if we can get some sorghum growing out there. Now we used to grow sorghum, and my dad grew it specifically for a milk cow. But there's sorghum flour you can get and some other stuff. Let me check over here on the chat. So Martha only learned about sorghum in season 5 of The Walking Dead. All right. Okay. Yes. Yeah, Guy. Drops Family Farm. Yep. Sorry about that. All right. Let me see up here. A little bit of garlic on stuff. All sorts of seasonings and stuff you can use on these grains to give them more flavor. if Anthony was in here, I bet he'd be talking about putting some of the chilies and stuff on some of the stuff to give it a kick. But let's see what this says here. And it's offside. But lots of grain meal, fruit seed meal, cotton seed meal are used as soil additives for growing crops. Yeah. And that's one of the things is, there's certain crops and stuff that, we're getting off topic here for a second, but you grow and you turn back into the soil, or you harvest the seeds or the whatever, and you make a meal from it, and then you add it when you go to plant. It's like Anthony was talking about. Talking about adding. I think Al, you mentioned it too, about adding milk.
Yep.
For tomatoes.
Tomatoes and squash.
Yeah, tomatoes and squash, and crushed egg shells. Adding that before a little bit of crushed egg shells in before you transplant your tomatoes in there, and some of the other things. So there's a lot of things out here, these grains and stuff that have multiple uses. And besides all the ones we listed here, besides us being able to eat them, pigs, cows, goats, sheep. So a lot of times this stuff was stored and used for feed over the wintertime. Okay, let me get down here, catch up here on the side.
Quinona.
It's quinona.
It's one below.
Yeah, I see it, the one below. Okay, I wanted to have a chance to read it. So let me look up what that is, and then move this back over to the side here. Give me a second here. And that is spelled Quinoa. And let's see what that is. There we go. And take it back over here. Boom. So this is this one here. They have it adding it to a salad. Come on, let's bring it up. There we go. Now I've seen where they add grains and stuff to salads. My wife gets it. Yes, Darlene. Rabbits and chickens as well. There's a lot of different. It looks like some very different, interesting ways of cooking it up here.
It's more Middle Eastern, and we use it most as like what we use for barley and oatmeal. But oatmeal has to be processed into not rolled, not cut. It's steel cut, and we use it as a binder or filler. And those people who make sausage out there knows what I'm talking about. We use in the Far East Winona as a filler.
So Steve was eating some of this tonight.
Yep. Easy to cook. Also great for breakfast. You can make pancakes out of it.
And Fishy says she only likes it rinsed really well. She thinks it's gross if you don't rinse it well.
You have to learn to cook, folks. If you know how to cook, you can make Winona what Michael said. I know. I get it mixed up. WD. Oh, Lord.
Oh, hang on. Let me back up here. Okay. There we go. Sunflower seeds we haven't talked about. And
that's a problem. That's more like a nut oil-based thing.
Yeah. But you could probably add, if you're going to make some bread, you can, mix, crush it up, mix it in with the dough, probably extend it.
Yeah. Best way for this stuff right here.
Yeah.
Is to make pancakes.
Yeah. I'm just catching up here. So quinoa, quinoa. Someone says it's also pronounced quinoa. So depends what part of the country you're from, I guess. And WD's messing with you.
It's okay. But anyway, it's easy to cook.
I'll
Best
just-
thing for it is you make pancake out of it. I tried it as a breakfast cereal. I followed one of the recipe. Not that good.
Yeah. So, and one of the things I want to point out here to everybody, if you're not used to eating certain of these grains and stuff, don't go hog wild on it. Ease yourself into it. Otherwise, you'll be sitting on the porcelain god, aka
Right.
throne.
Because your system's not too used to it.
Yeah.
And remember, folks, if you have elderly people, you guys can hear me still, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If you have elderly people or children under 7, you show them this and they'll look at you and like, where's Dad's tomahawk?
Yeah. And so Courtney says you can use, as a filler with meatloaf and meatballs. You can probably do that with a lot of these different grains,
Yeah.
Use it as fillers with, the barley and some of the other stuff like that too.
Like oatmeal, you could use it in sausage. It absorbs the oil, plumps up the sausage. If you use deer meat, rabbit meat, ground oats, not the rolled oats, ground, you could stuff it into a sausage casing. I forgot the German term for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a kind of schnitzel. It's a kind of rabbit schnitzel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, flax seeds for food got a bad rep a while back, and hopefully they're starting to make a comeback. It's like if people weren't storing it right, and it got bacteria growth in it. So,
oh yeah, we're talking class A food poisoning from it.
Yeah, so you got to be careful with some of these grains. Make sure they're kept dry and cool, so you don't get
bacterial mold.
Exactly. Bacterial mold.
That was the big problem back in, 70s and 80s with flaxseed. They call it the wonder seed. Next thing you see people in the hospital. Family of 9 poisoned.
Yeah.
Meal almost killed banquet.
Yeah. They weren't treating it properly. As with all foods, and herbs and everything else, you need to treat grains and the grains we've been talking about here with prudence and understanding. Yeah. People say, "Oh, this is a miracle food." No, it's just something that you discovered that some of the properties of it, but you also got to be wary of some of the drawbacks. All right. Does anybody have now? If we missed any other seeds, grains, because I know there are probably more out there that than what I could find.
In close to modern, we don't want to go back to biblical times,
right?
Or times of David and Goliath. They had too many grains back there. It gives Uncle Alan a headache.
Yeah. In an all German family, German dishes are made all the time. Oh yeah, buckwheat pancakes. The first time I had buckwheat pancakes, let's see, that was 68, because we were 2 years after we moved back down to Southern California, at Disneyland, at the Aunt Jemima Pancake House on Main Street.
It was a fairly big pancake house too.
Yeah.
Like Sambo.
Exactly.
Everybody forgets Sambo. That was a great pancake house.
Yeah. Okay, so Fisher says she read we can't truly break down chia seeds. Basically goes right through us. So, okay, so we get some question here. Wheat germ. Come on. There we go. Pop it up. Wheat germ. The only time I ever used wheat germ was feeding it to my koi fish. They loved it as a treat.
Right. The trouble with wheat germ is it has a short shelf life. It's basically the little newbie thing from the hull of the wheat. That's wheat germ. And it's full of oils. It's very rich. It's high in vitamins and essential oils. Only problem is it has like a 6 month storage capacity, and then
Yeah.
unless you process it, that's a different wheat germ. That's why they have wheat germ oil.
All right. Morris Patch of Heaven asks, what about hemp hearts? I'm not sure what hemp hearts are.
That's marijuana plant flowering. Whatchamacallit? It's the seed part that they take out.
Ah.
And yeah, they used to use it for bird seed and protein based seeds. Japan used it a lot, the non hallucinogenic type, in seasoning. It's more of a season than a a true seed to make flour from. Recent years, they try to make flour out of it, but you need so many hemp hearts to do it.
Yeah.
It's like you're growing acres and acres and everybody's smoking it, and you only got like a handful of hemp hearts.
Yeah. Okay. Sesame seeds.
Again, that's more seasoning, not for flour.
Yeah. I haven't heard it being used in anything other than as a topping.
Topping or oil. It's also
Okay.
a good oil producer.
Courtney says she uses wheat germ in her wheat bread, making it. Okay. Drop says corn isn't the greatest for you either. Okay, we got buckwheat with meats and some foreign rations. She reviewed. Right. Yeah, so Caitlin Strain, check her out. She reviews a lot of MREs, foreign MREs too. A lot of them, they're really good reviews. So check her out if you haven't seen her before.
Anthony's here. Gil, Anthony just came in.
Anthony just came in. Okay, I'm trying to catch up here. All right, just going down here. Yep, Anthony's here. Hey, Anthony, Palmetto Prepared. Guys, you want to see about cooking a lot of stuff and good stuff. All right, check out Palmetto Prepared. Anthony does some good cooking down there, and he gives good information and background on a lot of stuff he cooks with. Okay, so let me go back up and see what else I missed here. Yeah, I know I saw something here. Acorns. Working with acorns is not easy. You got to process it because it's got a lot of
tannic acid.
Yeah, and that can cause all sorts of problems. Look it up. If you're going to do something with acorns, look it up. Check with your there's probably a lot of good information on YouTube, people talking about how to remove the tannin acids out of it to make it safe, because the Indians used to have a process they had to go through to remove that so they could use it.
Also know which kind of acorn you have to use, because a lot of people screw up the white oak acorn with the small hillbilly acorn or scrub oak, which is the most bitterest, disgusting thing because rock pigeons eat it around here. You ever ate a rock pigeon after they eat the acorns?
I don't eat pigeon at all.
I know, but it's the most bitterest thing you ever eaten. It goes through the pigeon. And I eat pigeon.
All right. Yeah. Anthony was doing cayenne pepper. Anthony had a video, was it yesterday or the day before, with his tomatoes that he just harvested and his homemade bread. Oh, good. And he also Anthony makes homemade mayonnaise. So homegrown tomatoes, homemade bread, homemade mayonnaise. Hey, can't get any better than that.
It's a southern thing. Now somebody says I know what it is. I just can't pronounce it. CSSAVA. Kavasa.
Okay.
It's also a toxic plant too, so you got to be careful. If you're going to use that, you have to rinse it out many times because it has an oxide acid in there. If you don't rinse it out, family of 4 are dead.
Yeah. Okay. There it is. There's the comment on it. Come on, drop it off. There it dropped. Okay. And Kavasa root. Come on, Kavasa root.
Like I said again, folks, it's also a toxic plant.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to handle it, that root can kill a lot of people, including you.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and pull that back down. Boom. There we go. So like I said in the beginning, everybody, just because it's a cereal doesn't mean you have to eat it for breakfast. The a lot of the porridges and stuff weren't breakfast foods. That was dinner. And of course, they also added into it things to it. What's that nursery rhyme? Peas porridge, hot peas porridge, cold peas porridge in the pot, 5 days old.
You don't want to know how they make peas porridge. Trust me, it's the second most disgusting thing I ever seen. You grind the oatmeal into flour, and you grind a handful of dry peas. You have soaked pigeon peas, and then you add regular oatmeal, boil it for an hour, then you add the dry peas to it.
Yeah.
You don't want to see people eat that. It's like, I know why they put rum in it all the time. Rum will kill the taste of it.
Yeah. But so yeah, there's with all the seasoning and herbs we have around today that they didn't have back in Robin Hood days and early England and stuff.
Remember that this is before pepper.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of things that with you can take to flavor things up. One of the things, let's see if I can find it real quick over here. Is that the rice cake? There on the rice cake. So it's going to be down on the rice cake here. Talking about the rice cake that has, get to the rice cake. Well, where's the rice cake? Coming to it here. Rice cakes. Tomato and basil flavored rice cakes. Yeah. They probably wouldn't think of adding tomato and basil to, things, 100 years ago. But hey, that's good tasting stuff.
Yep. But 100 years ago, they used to call tomato poisonous, love apples, the devil fruit.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know.
Yeah. Well, it is, as Anthony reminds us often, it is part of the nightshade family.
Yep.
You don't eat the leaves.
No.
Is Mary Beth leaving? I believe it's about time for her to leave. Cut out.
Night, Mary Beth.
Night, Mary Beth.
Okay. Oh, our family says they have peppercorn seeds. They grow out next year. Okay. Yeah. The only problem is peppercorn seeds come from a tropical tree. So whatever you plant, I hope you're in a tropical climate.
Yeah. I think they're in crops is in Washington or Oregon.
Then it's going to die next year.
Unless they get it over to Howie.
Either Howie or Hawaii. That's the only two places I could think of that could grow that. Oh, here's L.A. Prepper. Hey, L.A. Prepper.
Hey, L.A. Prepper.
No kidding on that. It's puffed rice.
Yeah. All right. So Anthony says not rock shades. Nightshades rock, but not everybody can do it. And talking about that. Yeah. Now, we had the corn. Yeah, the corn cakes, which are similar to the rice cakes, probably have a few more calories in them than the rice cakes do. But okay, what's this thing here? And he had something earlier I wanted to mention. I forgot about it. It's way back up there.
What was it?
Anthony, we covered sorghum and buckwheat. Covered buckwheat a couple times, hot and as a flour. Potatoes. See, that's right. You want to talk about potatoes. I don't know. Probably over in Germany, but that's not too much of an American thing. Potato pancakes, you might find it back around Pennsylvania and parts of West Virginia where you got the Amish and the Mennonites.
If you're looking for potatoes as a breakfast or as a meal.
Looks like he was doing it as a cereal.
Okay. What was it? I'm trying to think. The Germans tried to make it as a cereal. It failed the same time the American cereal market came aboard in the late 1890s by Post and Kellogg's. They had a potato cereal, which was horrible.
Yeah.
However, it became one of America's first pig foods.
Yeah. Okay. Potato bread, potato patties.
Right.
Potato pancakes.
Cattail
plant.
It's like celery. And also, if you're doing cattail pollen, that's a big headache.
Okay, what's Anthony say here? Yeah. So, guys that have come in here late, let me go back up to the beginning on this. I'm going to go through it really quick here so you can see some of the stuff we touched on. And the first thing I want to say when I'm going back up here, what we call breakfast cereals now, back in the day, were not considered just for breakfast. In fact, most of them were for dinner. And of course, everyone's favorite hot breakfast cereals, Quaker Oats, used to take quite a while to cook. Now we have instant oats with multiple flavors. Malto-meal, which is a wheat-based cereal. Cream of wheat, very similar to Malto-meal. And back when I was a kid, we had the 10-minute, and then they had the 5-minute, which I no longer make now. We got the 2.5, 1 minute, and the 30-second instant oatmeal. Cream of wheat. Cream of wheat, all sorts of different flavors and ways to do it. Cream of rice, if you want something gluten-free. We covered brown rice hot cereal. Uncle Al talked about how it's been processed a little bit so that you may not have all the vitamins in it.
Right. If you see the last letter Ferrara, that's a processed cereal. It's just the seed component and a little bit of the husk. It's not a true rice.
Okay, and talk about regular white rice. How my dad used to have it for breakfast, and sometimes for dessert, he'd cook up the rice, add milk to it, brown sugar, and cinnamon on it, and have it. Grits, we talked about grits, and a big favorite back east. And the instant grits has this variety pack has original, butter flavor, cheddar cheese, and country bacon. Bacon makes everything better.
Right. And
Barley.
Let's see. Kaylin says Ferrara is another wheat porridge is popular with Latino. Yes, that's really strong in South America.
Yeah. Okay, so we had the you can get the medium barley, or you can get the quick barley. And then we talked about how buckwheat, doing it as a breakfast cereal, or just putting butter on it, different ways to eating it. Corn mush, which is sort of like a cream of corn type processed like cream of wheat or cream of rice. Not to be confused with creamed corn as a side dish for dinner. Processed totally different. Cold cereals, we talked about puffed wheats, puffed corn, and the Arrowhead Mills. Theirs is 100% corn, nothing added, single ingredient, no sugar, no nothing.
That kicks.
That you add yourself. Corn flakes, cashew, and how you can take, if you take some of these grains and make a mush paste patty, whatever, you can make your own flake cereals, cook it, and break it up for like a flake cereal. Milo.
That's what Macademius was asking about Milo.
Yeah.
Milo, you can get it in a breakfast cereal, or you could cook it up. It's similar to sorghum.
Yeah. And and it's made, and you can get it. The only manufacturer I could find on the web when I was searching for it was Nestle.
Yep.
All right. Now I threw this up here specifically talk about, it's a multi-grain cereal. My grandkids, even my boys and stuff, if I were to put a bowl of it out, they dive in it. It's like, to them, it's like Chex Mix. Only they prefer it, So there are certain, what you can use multiple grains and stuff, cereals, different ways. You don't have to put milk on them. Now, hot or cold, talked about grape nuts. You have it cold with milk on it, or you get some hot water, add to it, soften up a little bit, add some warm milk to it, and go to town on it. People add hot milk to puffed rice, probably puffed corn too. You could rice cake cereal. They talk about taking the rice cakes, crumbling it up, pouring hot milk over it. Now, when you come talking about the puffed wheat and some of the cereals that are in big bulky bags, you want them to store longer, because basically when they're bagged with air.
Yep.
All right. Get some nitrogen, some Mylar bags. You can extend the shelf life on it a lot longer. Displace the air out of it, throw in some moisture absorbers, and reseal the Mylar bag. It'll go a lot longer.
Okay, I got to answer a few questions on the side. One, Jerusalem artichoke is not a cereal. It is a tuber. Yeah, let's see. Oh, darn it. A polenta is a meal. That's more of a dough, but a meal that you use for cooking. It's more of a steamed kind of cornmeal.
Uh-huh.
And let's see. You get shelf-stable milk instead of regular milk that comes in either cow or plant-based.
Okay. Yeah, Mikey likes everything.
Right.
All right. And so drops fire up. Yeah, they're both sunchokes or tubers and
Similar. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's go on here past the. Okay, so other foods and stuff we're talking about. Talked about the rice cakes, the corn cakes, parched corn.
That also includes hominy too, folks.
Yeah, and there's probably some of that. You probably do it also with the barley.
Yep.
And several of the others. Cook it up this way. And this way here, cooking it this way, to me, what it screams to me personally, hey, let's crumble up some bacon in there.
Also, it was a form used in the Roman times. Excuse me. You could toast wheat slightly grind it, and you'll boil it into a gruel that the Romans ate before they went on a march. Wasn't their favorite meal because they like bread, but it will do in a pinch.
And we talked about other things grains are used for. Post them. And like it says here, it's a roasted wheat bran with molasses. And my dad used to drink that back in the 60s and 70s. What did we miss? Okay, we talked wheat, we talked oats, wheat, rice. We still got to cover rye. We covered a little bit of buckwheat. Talked Milo and those. So here we go. Try Tikali. Yeah, tongue tied here. All right. Puffed millet. Millet is very similar to sorghum. It's a sort of like a close cousin.
Also, Anthony just put up Aramis. Yeah, it's pigweed. We know, Anthony. We covered that part.
Yeah,
but it's a good it's a good food source because baker seeds have about 3 different kinds that you could eat the greens and the seeds.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Go ahead, Gil.
Okay, so we got buckwheat flour. All these grains we've gone over so far, if I'm not mistaken, can be turned into flour. And I know Anthony likes to make homemade breads. I've never asked him in any of his videos what sort of flours and stuff what variety of flours has he tried cooking with. But Cecilia, good night.
Night, Cecilia. To answer Maccabeatus' question, yes, because it's a flint corn and bird seeds millet. Easiest pie.
Yeah. Yeah, so showing here buckwheat comes in a boil bag.
Yep.
There are some from Old Wessex. You got some 5-grain cereals. Now, this is the only example I was able to find that had rye and golden flax in it. So, and then we have rye bread, rice seeds, and then cornmeal, which is used for a lot of stuff. Cornbread, particularly corn tortillas, but the cornbread, like Uncle I was telling us earlier, the next day cornbread starts to dry out a bunch, and and the day after that it gets really hard. Hey, break it up, pour warm milk over it, let it soak for a little bit. Oh, okay.
It's also covered under Journey cake or Johnny cake. They would make little cakes of cornmeal, let it harden. You carried that during your trip. If you ran to a farmer with a cow, you have breakfast.
Yeah. So Anthony says he prefers to use wheat flours. He likes gluten, but he has made rye breads as well. Tried pumpernickel, and it was So, yeah, if you're going to be using these, okay, hang on, to make different things, different types of flours and breads, don't expect it all to work out the first time.
Right.
It's like I said earlier, if you're going to try some of these grains for the first time, don't overdo it.
Right.
Bad results if you overdo on grains you're not used to.
Anthony, on pumpernickel and rye breads, it's a steam based. You can't put it in the oven for dry heat. It won't rise right. You have to have a double boiler, and you have to have a Pyrex dish to steam raise it. It's like rice bread. You have to steam raise the bread. So if you're making rye or pumpernickel and you're not using a double boiler steamer and you're using an oven, all you get is a hard crusted biscuit because it won't rise.
Okay. All righty. And next thing you say, Kaylin, blue corn flour. I have not used blue corn flour. I think my sister-in-law was that she had some bluish stuff, so I think that's probably what it was. Made some cornbread. Oh,
yeah, but
20 years ago.
Yeah, but the trouble with blue corn is you have to process it right. You have to leach it in an alkali solution like hominy, or
Yeah.
you can't eat it. Trust me on that one.
Okay. But if it's commercially processed flour, it's good to go, isn't it?
Yep.
All right.
But if you grow it at home, no.
Yeah. And one of the things I have noticed, folks, with flours and stuff, all the different types of flours, once the grain is milled into a flour, it cuts its shelf life down dramatically.
Yep.
Okay. Read of Manifestations of Imagination.
I got to see that.
Yeah, I got to find out if he's going to try to make flour from it or he's going to try to do something else.
He's going to try and make maize out of it, but the only problem with blue corn, you don't need a double boiler to cook it in a Dutch oven. No, you're steam baking it. If you use a Dutch oven, all you're doing is concentrating the heat. Then you have like a bagel kind of crust on it, and it'll fall in.
Okay. So, no, we didn't mention bulgur wheat.
Yep.
Popcorn, I did mention once, and I forgot to mention it again. Popcorn was originally a breakfast cereal. My grandmother used to have it. She was born in 1899 up at a farm up in northern Idaho. They used to popcorn, and then they would put it in a bowl, pour some milk on it, sprinkle a little sugar on it, and that was a breakfast dish for them. So, but bulgur wheat, I guess bulgur wheat, like any of the other wheats, you can process it into any of the stuff we've talked about so far. Flours or just cooking it up into a mush for and then adding stuff to it. Triscuit crackers. Oh
boy.
So, but yeah, there's a lot of
there's a lot of
all right, Courtney's taking off.
All right, bye, Courtney.
Bye, Courtney. All right. So, yeah, okay.
If you're using these kinds of grain, understand it. It's processing is one part, cooking is the other part. You have to be careful on cooking because in certain countries it's different. You can't use a Dutch oven, or you can't use a poji, or you can't use our American gas stove. It's all different forms of raising breads. Cereals, on the other hand, is fairly easy. You just boil it and eat it.
Okay, so in Rich Refuse says they eat popcorn with spices and nutritional yeast on it. Makes a healthy, cheesy flavor.
Yep.
Yeah. Heck, I've seen people take popcorn and with the oil, they're putting in the oil to pop it and stuff. I've seen them add cayenne pepper and taco seasoning and other stuff for different seasonings to the oil that they're popping the popcorn in, so it comes out with all these unique flavors. Only 2 likes. Oh man.
Come on,
we haven't been doing good. If only 2 people like it, man. Oh man.
Bye, Connie.
All right, Courtney. Take care. See you later.
All right, Courtney. Sorry, Courtney. Yeah. I don't know why.
Michael shows 23 likes. Yeah, I know. Sometimes it depends on what whether you're using Chrome or whether you're using what's the other one? Firefox or whatever. Sometimes
it takes a while.
It doesn't update. And even sometimes even though I have Chrome, I have to refresh the page sometimes to get everything to update. All righty. And Rustic says he sees 24 likes. All right, that makes you feel a little bit better. At least it's not 2 likes and 23 thumbs down.
Right. Anyway, we covered everything, right, Gil?
I think we covered everything. Covered all sorts of different grains and stuff. So in your food storage, hey, there's a lot of these grains and stuff you can store in the 5-gallon buckets, 3-gallon, whatever. Throw a little nitrogen in there to get the oxygen out of there, some moisture absorbers, and keep your grains good. And and when you're storing food like that, remember, first in, first out. So when you start storing stuff, you want to rotate it, keep things going.
900 likes. Yeah, Anthony. Anyway, also with the grains, you want to add what? A grinder. Because for infants and older adults, we don't have teeth.
Yeah. And preferred is the high-end metal plates. The stones, you can get some good stones, but hey, what do stones do?
Wear out.
They wear down, and pieces of the stone get into it. All right, Howie, go put the chickens to bed.
Night, Howie.
He says be right back. So,
yeah, I agree with Palmetto Prepare. Rum grains. Yeah, that was the big thing in the Navy. And their first one was Boogaloo. And it's not the Civil War. It was a mixture of oatmeal and barley heavily drenched in molasses and rum.
Yeah, Kaylin, oxygen absorbers work good. And actually, if you're going to put oxygen absorbers in, I was told that you put like a quarter in, toss one in, fill the bucket halfway, toss another one in, 3/4, toss another one in, fill it up, toss another one. That way you have, oxygen absorbers, spread throughout it so it pulls evenly from everywhere. You have them tossed in just on top. The bottom may not get the oxygen absorbed from it.
On the metal birds leaving shavings, if you get a low quality one, yes. If you get a high quality, like Gil says, that'll last you a lifetime.
You get what you pay for when it comes to the metal burrs for the grinders, and you also may want to make sure you don't get them where the burrs are touching. That's some people think to put it in, they tighten it up and it's like, and you get metal shavings.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, and so people, I had space in there. Well, you have space in there now after you grind it off.
Right. And also, Anthony, there's more, rum puddings.
Yeah.
You can have rum pudding for breakfast. You can have rum pudding for lunch. And if you're still alive, you can have rum pudding for dinner with bacon.
Arrgh.
Arrgh.
Rum, bacon, Fruit Loops.
Yes, it's a man's meal. Walk sober after that. But in reality, it'll be rum, salt pork, and boogaloo. Nobody likes boogaloo, even the sailors. That's what causes the mutiny on Mutiny and the Bounty. What's for dinner, Captain? You're eating boogaloo.
Yeah.
We're going back to Tahiti.
Yeah. All right, guys. Anything else might have missed at grist mill? That's
That's old school.
Yeah. And okay, so I'm going to make sure I'm getting it right. So I guess Kaylin puts bags inside the buckets, and each bag has its own oxygen absorber. So, yeah, and that's the thing. If you have the time and the ability, Pennsylvania Prepper, when she does her stuff, she measures out servings in the Mylar bags, and that way she just in a 5-gallon bucket, she opens it up and she pulls out a bag and closes it up, and everything else is still protected because it's sealed in Mylar bags. The buckets are to keep the bags from accidentally getting poked or keeping the little critters from nibbling on the bag.
Right. And loaves and fishes life, fishes and loaves life, Rice Krispies is your best bet. No yeast.
Yeah. And what's so funny is you look at the ingredients, and like especially the older boxes, like for corn flakes, and of course, Rice Krispies, and some of the other ones, there's like, wait a minute, okay, there's no sugar in here, there's no high fructose corn syrup, there's no nothing. Very limited on the ingredients. Snap, crackle, but don't pop those bags open.
Okay, salmonella flour is different. That's if you're going to do pasta.
Not salmonella, semolina.
Semolina, sorry.
Yeah, don't get them scared there. I was saying that other word.
Hey, Uncle Alan's half blind. I still got to need another eye surgery.
Is
that on your side?
What?
You sounded like a robot for a second.
It could be. Our high dollar bargain basement Dollar Tree internet service.
Great. Anybody got questions on breakfast cereals or grains?
Yeah. Just one final word here. When I was a scoutmaster, a lot of my scouts like to take the plain, simple, dried cereals and use it and eat it as a trail mix, or they make their own trail mix of mixing several cereals together. The only cereal really that they took that had sugar in it was the Honey Smacks or what is it, Golden Crisps or whatever it is, the post version of it, where the sugar coated, honey coated puffed wheat, because it does get sticky when you're in humidity.
Right. That was a common problem. That goes back to the 50s. Night cabin.
Yeah. Good night, our cabin in the woods. Take care.
Anthony brought up granola. Granola is basically toasted oatmeal.
Yeah. And depending what else they add to it, whether they add nuts to it or a bunch of other little things to it.
Basically, it's a giant bar and they hit it with a hammer.
What are our thoughts on all the preservatives in processed cereals? Well, yeah, preservatives, yeah. The only type of preservative I think which is not harmful to humans, I haven't read anything. It's the and they can't use it in a lot of stuff. It's the citric. Citric.
Magnesium.
No, is it citric acid or something else? They add some stuff to certain things, foods and stuff.
Right.
But it's a natural preservative. Hey, salt's a natural preservative.
So it's MSG, but nobody likes that.
Is that really natural?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, you just got to be careful on your stuff. I know Anthony did a good video. Ooh, was it 6 months ago? I guess by now. Palmetto Prepared did a great video talking about the canned foods and the amount of salt that are in canned foods.
Well, that goes back to the early processing foods. If they didn't salt the foods and was using a non-steam canning system, that was back in the old days, like Civil War, pre-Civil War, they found out a lot of people died from botulism.
Yeah.
Until they learned how to pressure cook it.
Yeah. The other thing too is they've been adding more and more salt because it enhances the flavor. and now I'm having a heart attack from too much salt.
Well, remember back in the old days, everything was preserved in salt. Salt pork, salt chicken, salt fish.
Yeah, but
You
that was
name
on
it.
that was coated on the outside, and when you cooked it, you rinsed it off,
No, you soaked it off.
soaked
Blah.
it up. Yeah, but basically most of the salt got cleaned off of it.
And yet, and it's kind of weird with the salt preserves because I'm Japanese and you want to see the king of salt preserves. See my family. We still have salt pork from 4 years ago.
Yeah. All righty, folks. Let me go ahead and kill this and make sure. Get one thing up over here on the side here before we go out. Yeah, I got to work on that one. Okay, so for Tuesday, on Tactical Tuesday, the topic is going to be garden pots for indoors. So we're going to talk about, trying to raise a garden indoors and things you can do for those that are in apartments and stuff to be able to grow some food indoors and different things to do it. So that's what's going to be on Tactical Tuesday, which is 7:00 Mountain Time. And probably I'm looking at possibly next week. I'm not sure whether I'll have Friday night special next week because I may be traveling to California. I got some fences that blew down in the storms, and I got to go back and fix the fences down on the property back there. All righty. So, hey, Steve, yep. See you later. Martha, Old School Prepper, thank you. If you guys haven't checked out Martha, Old School Prepper, check her out. She's got some good stuff. She's been doing some great stuff about fertilizing plants and stuff. So check it out. She's been running a series on that. And Anthony, take care. Oh, Anthony, how's the family doing? I'm hoping your wife and your little one are doing better.
Everybody prays for Anthony and his family and thoughts of an old school soldier too.
Yeah.
Because they got a hurricane maybe coming within next week. I don't know yet.
Yeah, there's several other channels were talking about possible hurricane coming in on Monday or Tuesday.
That's for Florida. We're talking south of North Carolina.
Yeah.
They don't know. It's still a crapshoot. The Dominicans got hit pretty bad.
Yeah. All right, folks. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.